Hi, I'm Chris from Johnson Plastics Plus, and today I'm going to tell you about the JP700 mug press. So here we have the press. It comes like this just out of the box. With the kit, you will get the press, a power cord, and a variety of heating elements for different types of drinkware. So the press comes with the 20-ounce heating element for 20-ounce tumblers already installed into the press. If we look over here, we have a number of other types of heating elements. This big guy here is for 30-ounce tumblers. We also have two different styles of tumblers for coffee mugs, and they look really similar on the surface, but if you notice, if you look at them, there's actually slightly different diameters to each. So this one, the smaller one here, is kind of better suited for 11-ounce coffee mugs, whereas the other one here that has the larger diameter is good for 11-ounce mugs as well as 15-ounce mugs. Then we also have a number of tapered wraps for what they call latte mugs, so a couple different sizes there. And then finally we have a very small heating element for shot glasses and other glasses that are within kind of a shot glass type of format. So we're going to walk through how to set up your mug press, how to change out your wraps for different styles of drinkware, and then we will demonstrate pressing an image onto our coffee mug here. All right, so since we're going to demonstrate pressing on a 11-ounce coffee mug, we're going to start by kind of walking through how to switch out our heating elements first. Okay. So, like I said, the mug press comes with a 20-ounce heating element already installed. And actually, what you could do is, if you wanted to do kind of a higher production run of your coffee mugs, you could actually use the 20-ounce mug press to run two coffee mugs at the same time. But for the sake of demonstrating simply one coffee mug, we're going to go ahead and switch this out for our slightly larger coffee mug heating element. Okay. So what we're first going to do is we're going to first make sure that our heat press is not plugged in. We don't want to get burnt or electrocuted or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and undo the kind of the thumb screws here, and we'll just kind of undo these. And they might be a little tight, just coming out straight out of the box, never been used before, right? So we'll just kind of set those guys aside. They might be a little tight on you, which is okay. That's normal. Our last ones here. Sometimes it can help to open or close the mug press a little bit to kind of release tension from the edges of the wrap. That's actually a lot better right there. So, okay, set those aside. Now, inside here there is there's a little screw that's kind of holding the power cord of the heating wrap. So we're going to take that off as well. And to do that, recommend using a 5/32 Allen key or Allen wrench. So we'll just reach down in there and kind of undo this guy. And if you're going to switch heating elements frequently to do different types of drinkware, I think some people tend to want to leave this off, so you can just kind of quickly switch in and out your different heating elements. So it's up to you if you want to put it back on or not, I should say. Okay, set that aside. Lastly, we're going to unscrew our connection, our heating element connection here to the control box, and that's just simply undoing the set screw from the by hand here, and just pulling that straight out, just like that. Try to pull from the plug as well, not from the cord, so you don't end up breaking the connections inside the plug there. So to take this out, recommend having the press open. We'll just kind of squeeze the heating element and just kind of slide it straight out like that, and then we'll set that aside. Now, the great thing is with the JP700 press, if you look at these long bars, there's a number of different holes in here, and all of these holes are spaced so that they all fit all of the heating elements that come with the press, so there's no need to switch these bars out. So that's a nice feature. So we'll take our coffee mug heating element here. We're just going to put it in the same way we took out the other one there. Kind of center it up in there. You'll find the holes that the heating element should go into here, and you can kind of see I'm trying to kind of fight the tension of that there, so it could also help to just close the press so you can get those holes lined up properly like that. We'll take our set screws, just kind of put them right back in there, and depending on the heating element you use, you may or may not use all of these. So in this case, we're only going to use 4 of them. You might need to just kind of bend it out a little bit so you don't have to fight with it there. Just get them finger tight. Don't need to over tighten them, just so they're snug. All right, and then we'll go ahead and plug in our plug to the control box here. It is keyed, so you want to line up the slot in the plug with the little knob in the plug there. Let's push it all the way in, and we'll tighten that set screw. And I'm just going to leave off the little holder here, just for simplicity's sake. So that's how we install our different our heating elements. So now we're ready to plug in our mug press, and we'll start talking about the settings and things you should know on the control box. So first we'll go ahead and plug in our power cord right in the back side here. Plug it into our power. And to power the unit on, there's a power switch on the side of the control box. We'll just turn that on. You get a little countdown here, and then immediately it starts to heat your heating element up. But before we get too far into that, I kind of want to tell you about the controls of the control box here. So we have our temperature here on the side. On this side of it, we have the Celsius first, showing up first. We kind of want to set it to Fahrenheit. A lot of people tend to use Fahrenheit, but you can use either one you want. So to change that, you want to use the Celsius Fahrenheit button here on the right side. Just click that, and then that'll switch your temperature to Fahrenheit for you. And then to get into actually setting the settings on the press, you want to hit the mode button first. So we notice here that the set light is turned on. So this mug press is what they call a variable temperature mug press, and that just means there's 2 temperature settings, and the first temperature setting refers to what they call the idle temperature. So that will be the temperature that the press idles at, or just stays at, until you activate the press cycle. And at that point, the idle temperature will start to rise with your drinkware already in there, and it'll rise up to what they call the press temperature. And once it reaches the press temperature, the actual countdown timer will start. So that's a good place to kind of talk about the variable temperature mode versus what we would call the constant temperature mode of this mug press. Some mug presses only do 1 temperature, which would be considered a constant temperature mug press, but this one is a variable, which means you can do variable temperature, and you can do also constant temperature, and we'll talk about how to do that. So going back to the settings here for a moment, when the set light only is on by itself, that's for the idle temperature, okay? And when we press our mug today, I'm going to use the constant temperature mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the idle temperature and the press temperature to be the same value, okay? So I'm going to use my arrow keys here with the set light on. I'm going to hold this down, and this will let us increase our temperature for our idle temperature. And I'm going to increase it to 390 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so it's not letting me go clear to 390, which means that the press temperature, which is the next setting here, actually needs to be changed to 390 first, because you can never get the idle temperature to be higher than the press temperature. It won't let you do that. So I'm going to hit the mode button, and I'm going to go on to where it says set and temperature. So when it has set and temperature both lit up, that's your press temperature. So we can see here that that's actually set to 389. I'm just going to bump that to 390. Now if we hit mode again, you see set and timer lit up. Now this is where we can set our press time, or how long we want the press cycle to run. Okay, I want to run this about 160 seconds doing the constant temperature mode. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and increase our time to 160. A little far there, let's back up. All right, there we go. So when we hit mode again, that takes us out of our settings. Okay, but since I need to go back and adjust my idle temperature just by 1 degree, doesn't really matter that much, but just to kind of show you, I'm going to go back into our mode here, just back to our set light, and I'm just going to bump that up to 390. Okay, so when we hit mode again, we can now see that our idle temperature and our press temperature are the same value, which is what we want for our constant temperature mode that we're going to do here. Oops. So we'll hit mode again. We're back to our time setting. We're good with that, so I'm going to say okay. We'll hit mode again, and now we're out of our settings screen. And now it's if you watch the screen, you'll see that the temperature is increasing. So we're going to let it build up the heat until it gets to our temperature that we want, which is 390 degrees for this. And we just got to kind of wait for it to get to that point, and then we'll go on to the next step. All right, so now we have our mug press heated up to the temperature we need for our coffee mug. So what we're going to do first is we're going to double check that our pressure settings are good for the mug or the drinkware that we want to press. And just a quick side step, to adjust the press pressure, you want to look at these two large knobs on the back side, or facing the back of the mug press here, and these turn. And what you want to do is, to check your pressure, you can just briefly take your blank drinkware with no transfer on it. We'll go ahead and place it in there just real quick, and we'll close it. And we're going to check to make sure that that's pressing with the pressure that we want for our transfer. And this one already is. If it wasn't, we could take our drinkware out and we could make some minor adjustments to our pressure settings here. And for drinkware that has straight sides, you generally want these pressure knobs to be equal, so that it's not doing one of these sort of things where you get uneven pressure on one side of your drinkware. Okay, and these are even, so we're good there. And by the way, don't keep it in there super long, because you don't want to burn yourself when you're working with your transfer. So all right, so we're now ready to put our transfer paper on. This is transfer paper that Johnson Plastics sells, that's specially cut to size for normal coffee mugs, so it makes it pretty nice and convenient. And we got our graphic printed out already. We're going to have our graphic repeated on both sides of our coffee mug here. So we're ready to just kind of place this on straight away. So we'll just take this transfer, we'll wrap it around our mug, and what I like to do is look at the edges of the transfer here and kind of get them centered between the top and bottom edges of your drinkware, and then also kind of look at your handle, and on the ends of the paper here, you kind of want to center your handle within the opening of the ends of your transfer paper here. Okay, and kind of get it snug and tight so that you're not so that it's not super loose. You don't want your transfer to move on you. Okay, and I'm happy with about where that's at. Actually, let me tighten there a little bit. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we want it to look good, right? So we got our paper pretty taut here. We're going to kind of hold on to that, and then we'll get a piece of heat tape. Just about an inch and a half is all you need. We're going to tape down the one end of the paper. Get another piece. tape down the other side here. And there we have it. So we have our paper nice and snug on our drinkware, and it's not sliding, moving anywhere, so that's what we want. So when we're ready, we'll go ahead and place our drinkware into the mug press carefully. Now, one thing to note is when you close the press, that doesn't start the cycle. We actually have to hit this green button on the control panel here to start the press cycle, okay? So we'll place it in there, kind of center it in there, close it, and we're going to start that right away. So sometimes it's normal for the temperature to drop. It's actually good to hit this button as soon as you can so you don't have too much time on the press, because it has to heat itself back up to the press temperature, and then the timer will start. So we'll go ahead and wait for that to finish climbing back up in temperature, and then our press cycle will start. Okay, so our timer is almost up. I'm going to get ready to take the mug out of the press. I'm going to put on a heat glove so we don't get burned. Don't want to do that, so I recommend wearing a glove. So as soon as the timer goes off, like that, you can hit the button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and that will cancel another cycle from starting. We'll go ahead and open up our press, take out our mug, and here's our mug. And you can notice it's a little bit tan, a little bit more brown because the paper got a little hot. The mug is still very hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take off the transfer paper now. Now everybody has their own technique of how to do this. Some people actually like to dunk the cup into room temperature water to kind of speed cool it, and that's okay. But I'm just going to take it off kind of right away here, just to kind of show you guys. I'm going to use, this is kind of one of my techniques I use. I'm going to use just a little box cutter blade to kind of get underneath the tape, get it started pulling off of there, and then I'll carefully grab it, pull it off, take off our transfer paper, and now we have our finished mug. And if you don't use the water cooling technique, just set your mug aside to cool down so that you can handle it without gloves. So one thing I want to note is when you're running the press on constant temperature heat pressing, it's really good to not leave the press powered on and just heating at that high 390 degree temperature without something in the press, because that can actually shorten the lifespan of the heating element when it has nothing to kind of transfer that heat into. So if you're going to go long periods of time between making your products, kind of recommend that you power the mug press off, and then when you're ready, just power it back on. Give yourself a couple minutes to let it heat back up, just so you don't kind of shorten your heating element lifespan there. So that's our overview of the JP700 mug press. You can find everything you see here on our website, jpplus.com. And I'm Chris West. Thanks again for watching.